Today on The Caucus, Jim Rutenberg and Megan Lieberman discussed the first Republican presidential debate of 2012 and the many candidates who were not in attendance. Also, Adam Nagurney on California Governor Jerry Brown.
I want to thank the other contenders who are here with me on this stage for showing up tonight.
So, Jim, last night was the first Republican presidential debate of this cycle, and it was notable at least as much for who was not there as for who was.
Right. They built it, that is the debate stage, but they all did not come.
They did not come.
We did not have Governor Mitt Romney from Massachusetts, who's a supposed front-runner right now. We did not have former House Speaker Newt Gingrich. We certainly did not have former Governor Sarah Palin of Alaska.
Right, so it was not exactly the A team.
We'll see, but not right now.
And the most serious candidate considered on the stage last night was Tim Pawlenty, who maybe had the most to gain and the most to lose.
For him, last night was all about saying, here I am, America, or here I am, Fox News audience, right, which is very important. And I grew up in, where did he grow up?
In a meatpacking town.
I grew up in a working class family in a meatpacking town.
He told us that a lot of times every answer had some biographical information about himself, and that's what he took this debate for. Here I am.
And he also seemed prepared for what he knew would be his political liabilities.
Right. I mean, there are always some risks in this, in any debate, but he was ready to tackle the hardest question for him. One of the hardest questions is his former environmental policy. He was a supporter of cap and trade.
And that's heresy in the Republican Party.
It is now. It clearly wasn't when he first did it.
Right. It was also interesting how they dealt with Osama bin Laden's death, which was basically to say, that's great, but it's the only good thing that President Obama has ever done.
Yeah, I think former Senator Rick Santorum of Pennsylvania had the sharpest answer on that.
If you look at what President Obama has done right in foreign policy, it has always been a continuation of the Bush policies. What President Obama has done on his watch, the issues that have come up while he's been president, he's gotten it wrong strategically every single time.
Basically, he's saying, as long as you're forwarding Republican national security policies, you're okay, but otherwise you're out to lunch.
This is going to be another raising of your hands.
There's kind of a zany atmosphere at this debate. It was a lot of bell ringing and hand raising.
Right. I expect to be slightly bored during some points of debates, and it got surprisingly entertaining. It was like a game show, yeah.
There were actually a lot of funny moments. Did you have a personal favorite?
Oh, it hands down was Ron Paul, the congressman from Texas, talking about the legalization of heroin as, possibly a conceivable thing that could happen and be okay.
How many people here would use heroin if it was legal? I bet nobody would put their hand, oh yeah, I need the government to take care of me. I don't want to use heroin, so I need these laws.
Yeah, you don't hear a lot of that in Republican debates.
And you certainly don't hear the audience applauding it.
But of course he had the Ron Paul fan club in the audience there, as he often does. But we don't really think that this is what the debates are going to be like going forward. We expect a different kind of field as we move on.
If the legalization of heroin is an important issue in the Republican primary, I will eat the camera.
He's a politician, right? He loves the idea of being in charge of a large estate. He loves the idea of, honestly, the New York Times Magazine coming along and doing a profile on him.
Also today, Adam Nagurney on his Sunday Magazine profile of California Governor Jerry Brown.
I write newspaper stories and magazine pieces. There's a big difference between the two in terms of the kind of reporting you want to do. One thing I like to do a lot on these kind of stories is just try to be near them and just sort of watch the way they interact with other people, how they react to unexpected situations. You might spend 4 hours and get one good nugget for the story or one good insight, but you know what? Those 4 hours were worth it, and that was a lot of that with him. I got the impression that I was seeing Jerry Brown as Jerry Brown. When you're 73 years old, you're not going to run for any more offices. Like, he's not thinking about running for president, or he realizes it's just not going to happen. So I think that sort of hunger and ambition, which has driven him over the years, is sort of gone now. So he's a little more just sort of mellow. How's he different to cover than other big-time politicians? He's less buffered. There's less layers around him. I mean, he's just more there, and you could sort of catch him walking up the hall in the state capitol or coming off a plane alone in an airport. He's the right person for the time. I mean, California is facing a budget shortfall of $26.5 billion. That's a third of the budget.
Without any mental reservation.
Without any mental reservation.
Or?
Really, no mental reservation.
So why at age 73 is he doing something like this, or why would he want to get into such a difficult job? Well, I suspect that part of it is that he realizes that if he succeeds here, if he solves the problem in California, and in the process shows Democrats across the country a way to deal with the budget cutting that Republicans are sort of pressing, that's what people are going to remember him for. That will be his legacy. It will not be, the failed presidential bids or whatever else. I think this is a final chance for him to really sort of present himself as a legacy person for California and the country.